Good day, everyone. Welcome to Carpo's World. I got my coffee and my vape pen, and I'm just sitting out here in the back porch under the nice cover, out of the rain. And I guess all I wanted to really talk about this morning was just, it's really hard to put it into words. Sometimes I want to talk about a specific subject and it just comes out pretty easily. However, there are times when I just turn the camera on and I have a feeling that I want to express. I find it difficult to do so. I'd like to sit here and say, you are worthy, everyone is good, the world is phenomenal, everything's perfect. But it's just not the way that people see life. Saying everything is fine and everything is perfect and everything is the way it's supposed to be is an easy cop-out in a way for some of the worst travesties in life that we deal with, whether it be war or politics, or whether a person should consume or not consume drugs or certain foods, sugars, whether or not a person should practice a religion or work at a certain job or towards a certain goal. Everyone has views and opinions on this, and we get into many debates and arguments, and generally I believe that the consensus reality usually comes forward. In other words, there may be 10 people screaming, or I should say there may be 10 people believing one particular thing, and one person may dispute that and find fault in it, and therefore that one person could be correct while 10 others are wrong. However, it seems like over centuries and time, let's just say that, I'm not going to say that the ideas that are carried forward are all right or true, but the ones that are most important to people are the ones that we pass down through the generations. I guess religion would be a good example. A lot of people today say how damaging religion is and how dangerous it is, and on so many fronts I agree. And being non-religious myself, I see the damage that telling children about hell can cause, or forcing women to feel subservient to men, or the idea that man is not good enough in himself, that he has to ask forgiveness. However, if this didn't help people somehow, then it wouldn't have been carried forward for so long. In other words, people feel guilty naturally for many different reasons. There's, survivor guilt. There's what people call white guilt or racial guilt. There's guilt for things that we've done in the past. But, for example, Christianity has made us guilty for just being alive. The mere birth of a human means that we are faulty, sinners, and guilty, and we need to be forgiven. Now, this has always been a huge dispute of mine with Christianity, but I'm not any longer screaming and being the one guy screaming at 10 Christians saying you're wrong, even though I firmly believe that I'm correct in many of the beliefs that I have. I can't say that I'm 100% correct. And I have to understand not just whether or not you're right. This is a major component of a debate. It's not about whether or not you're right. It's about what you're gaining from it and understanding. So if I'm debating with a Christian and they're giving me all these points that they believe are true and I dispute them, I don't expect that person to walk away believing me. And I would hope the other person doesn't expect me to walk away believing them. In many cases it has seemed that way. That person says, I just want to see you saved and I just want you to be, I want you to be able to go to heaven and all these, and I say, I really doubt that this person I've never met cares if I go to heaven or not. At that point, it seems like it's more about the debate and the argument. But as long as both parties walk away with a new understanding of each other's points of view, I think that's the best that we can ask for. There's a lot of absolutism in this world that we need to abolish religion, that we need to abolish government, that we need to abolish this, that we need to love more and do this, and that everyone needs to follow this suit. I don't see it that way. I don't see it, not that it can't be that way, but that it can never, the world will never cater to everyone's desires and needs, nor everyone's wants, especially not wants. We have to step back and ask ourselves in life what we really want and what we really expect out of life. So it's easy for people to say, to cast the stones at the rich or cast stones at those who may have different cultures or different belief systems because it doesn't suit them in their life. For example, Islam and Christianity, an argument between the two, which are basically two religions that were formed in the same area originally, yet have nothing to do with each other any more than Muhammad used biblical ideas in order to create the Quran. I should say the Quran was created later based on his life, but I could say there's so much misunderstanding in each other, misunderstanding about what we believe as individuals. For example, like I heard somebody saying the other day that Muhammad was a womanizer, or that he was abusive towards women. I said, I read about the life of Muhammad. He actually was. His wife was older than him, and she basically wore the pants, and he respected women highly. It wasn't until long after he was dead when they started to write the books and claim that the Quran was the true word. However, he had the idea of creating this new way of thinking, just like Jesus. In his life had a new way of thinking, and then people took his ideas and they twisted it to suit their needs. So I'm trying not to get into religion on this, because I definitely don't want to get into a religious debate. But what I'm really trying to say is, by understanding these things and the way billions of people through history have believed and why they've believed, we don't have to just point the finger at people and say, you're just dumb, or you're just ignorant, or you just believe what you're told. Because this extends into politics. Can be a lot like religion. The people who are voting for Trump firmly believe that they want change, and they want to do it through somebody who is totally not governmental-like. But the problem with that is that at the same time, he's not human-like. In other words, he doesn't speak to people with respect. If he treated all of his, countrymen with respect, as well as people in the rest of the world, yet just told the system to screw off, then I might even vote for the guy. And I don't want to get into politics either. But my point here was that Bernie Sanders, the people who were voting for him, see, he was an independent, and he had to run on a Democratic ticket, just like Trump had to run on the Republican ticket. Neither one of them even want to be associated with the parties. So the people who are voting for both sides are so strongly opposed to each other's views, yet they share one big main view, which is that we need to get away from the system as it is. It has not worked. But when you start divvying it up and figuring out what people really want, the value systems are different. You could say some people don't want to give to others, no matter what. They say, well, these people, if they're not working, they don't deserve anything. Or everybody needs to take care of themselves, and that there shouldn't be any type of, socialist programs. In the case that we shouldn't have any taxes in the first place. But the fact is, it's just not like that. Instead of pointing the finger at either side, we should really look at both sides and say, what do we all want in conjunction? What is this mass appeal to changing the system? What is it that we don't like about the way things are? This is kind of, it's been a reformulation of, it was Winston Churchill who said that democracy is the worst form of government, except all the others that have been tried. And he was so right. It's the best we know right now. And I extended that notion into so many other things in life. Until we find a better way, then we tend to stick to old ways. So until somebody's showing someone how to be happy and tolerant and acceptant, it's never going to work. We're never going to be able to get people to accept one another. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit in my life to ensure that those around me are happy, because that's important to me. So most people would agree that you will sacrifice your time, your money, your efforts, everything for your family because they're important to you. Now, some folks may say, screw the neighbors, they take care of their own. But some people who live in smaller communities believe in taking care of all their neighbors too, because if the neighbors are happy, the community's happy, and then you're happy. Well, you can extend this into the city. We do pick up garbage on the side of the road. We help our communities out. And then extend that into the state. And it's always, Oregon and Washington, and we separate these ideas, these states as if they're really separate, even though they are little unions within the union, if you will. But what I'm trying to say is to extend that, not just to our country with the big invisible border around it and say, take care of your own. If you want to take care of your own, you have to take care of everyone in the world. And this is, I think, a major value division. And this is where people separate between, and this goes into politics, religion, all belief systems, and all methods of thinking. that we see that the whole world needs to be treated with respect. And for, if we took care of every country except for one and treated them like complete crap, well, which we have, but there are several. But let's just say that the rest of the world was getting along fine, and there was always that one country that nobody cared about, everyone put embargoes on, and nobody would deal with. Eventually that country, out of desperation, may very well develop nuclear weapons and may very well strike out, assuming that there's no other resort, that they have no other option than to strike out. Now take that country and picture it as the one kid who's picked on by a group of 10 people, or the one kid who's always left out, who's never treated with respect, who's never given an opportunity to join in any games in school, or to partake with anything in work. People start to feel like they don't belong, and they start to feel like nobody cares, and then they start to not care themselves. And I've seen this over and over. Folks who have been disillusioned, who have been lied to. If you've been lied to for a long time about one particular thing, then you may lash out strongly against it once you realize. I've seen this with folks who have been Christians and then realized that they had been told things that they didn't necessarily believe anymore. And then instead of just going off on their own direction, they went totally anti-Christian. And YouTube channels I've seen created where it's just completely anti-Christian because they're so angry about being lied to. However, there's the opposite side, the person who was an atheist who became a Christian, who says, oh my God, I didn't believe in anything and I've missed so much in my life. And then everything they talk about is Jesus, Both of these sides, both of these types of people have found a new way of thinking that resonates with them, that can be exciting and something that they feel strongly about, passionate about. So let me just leave you with this idea that passion is what drives many of the videos on YouTube, many of the blogs on the internet, many of the books that are written in the world. Most of the things that are created or invented or discussed are things that are of importance to people like you and I. Ooh, that's hot coffee. But it doesn't mean that they're important to everyone. And it's really important to step outside our box and say, look, if if the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and for example, there are more Muslims than Christians, so if power really dominates, or if numbers are really, the dominating or determining factor of the strength of a belief system, then of course they would be ahead of the game. But that's not how it works. There is no belief system that incorporates everyone. There's no belief system that assists everyone, nor that accepts everyone, except for the belief system that we are all one and that we are all equal. And I won't go too far into that because I might get into saying something that maybe I don't. I made a video last year, it's like, are there superior people? And there are people who say, no way, everyone is equal. And then other people who say, like myself, who agree that, yes, everyone is perhaps born equal, but you have to earn your place in society. Nobody's born with truth or awareness, that we all have to work into it in our own way and develop that over time. People seem to want to argue about things that they don't understand. That we want to argue about whether or not we should bomb a country that we've never been to, or whether or not we should take away a certain group's rights merely because it interferes with ours. So it seems like a subject where I could talk in circles about this, and I have been, because it's really difficult to pin down. I can't just say, live your own life, screw everybody else, they can take care of their own, because I know that doesn't work. We've seen how that's worked over thousands of years. It doesn't. Every time somebody's oppressed, they're the ones that show up with a gun or with a new idea that's gonna, dominate everyone else. The only thing that makes a person want to dominate is the lack of self-esteem to realize that they can be content with who they are, that they don't require money or means or massive resources or control to be happy. But for some people, that's all that makes them happy. So we're not going to abandon control. There's always going to be people who are our leaders. This is how every every culture in history has worked. We have some sort of a leader. Even if there's a panel or a group of people making decisions, everyone has a leader. And we need that as humans, because we don't lead ourselves very well in the bigger picture, because a community has become worldwide. So a lot of people would like to throw in the towel and say, I give up, screw politics, screw the world, screw everybody, I'm just going to live my life. And I think as long as we start having that attitude, as long as we continue to have that attitude, people are going to continue to suffer. And we will suffer inside because of us, because of it. Because no one can be happy if anyone's unhappy. I guess that's all I can really say about the subject. It's complicated. People all just want to be happy. We all just want to be loved. We want to be known. We want to be respected. And so if you have those around you in your life, try to respect them as much as possible. You know, people love to have a good discussion as long as both sides are respectful. If you find yourself in a discussion where the other side doesn't treat you with respect, or they're using fallacies, it shows that they're uncomfortable, and it's best to just walk away from it. I have folks in day-to-day life that I can't hold discussions about certain things with, merely because we have different opinions, and I'm so strongly viewed that I tend to seem like I'm overbearing in a conversation with someone. It's just because I'm really animated about what I'm into and how I think. Because I believe that we have to be strong in our beliefs, but we have to be able to change them daily. That's one of the things that I struggle with, is finding a happy balance between waking up each day and saying, I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't really, anything's possible. I don't really necessarily believe anything or not believe anything. I'm open to whatever. And then there's another side of me that wants to have a steady belief system, that wants to really, who envies those who can just take a religion and say, this is what I believe, and be done with it. Because it's my belief that there is nothing greater to really seek except happiness and truth as you see it, so long as no one else is harmed. So if you can find a belief system that you can adhere to that helps you, and not just helps your group, but helps the whole world, and helps the principles of existence for humans, then you may have figured out something that, others could gain from. So if you have found something that works for you, share it with people. But if you found something that you think works for you, but you know in deep down inside that you're just fooling yourself, if that works, then that's great, but it doesn't work for everyone. It's not going to work for everyone. Nothing does. Anyway, have a good day, everybody.